Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric, and looking back at my videos about Universal Orlando, I realized a lot of people watch them and most people like them. And because I never really see people talking about their full thoughts on the dark rides there, and I like talking about this park, I thought it'd be fun to review every dark ride, water ride, and motion simulator at Universal Orlando Resort. I have some pretty bold, unpopular opinions, so you best prepare yourself for that. This is Universal Orlando Reviews, and today we are beginning with The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Opening in 1999 with Universal's Islands of Adventure, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man is a 3D motion-based simulator ride that goes around a particularly interesting layout, and it's located in the Marvel Superhero Island area of Islands of Adventure, not too far from the Incredible Hulk coaster. And let me say right off the bat, this is a great dark ride. At the end, I will tell you whether I think it's the best dark ride in the world or not. However, first, we are going to get into a full review of the different aspects of the ride, whether it be the technical aspects or the story. I'm going to talk about how every aspect of this ride is really, really good. And let's begin with what most people like to know about, the interesting technology used in the ride. So let's start with that. 3D glasses are utilized, and there's a lot of screens in the ride, and you're in this really cool car that moves in a lot of different directions. For example, by the way, spoilers from this point on for the ride if you don't want those. There's a part where the car vibrates to go with this electrocution scene, and it really is vibrating, so that's really, really cool. There are parts where the cars face downward, face different directions. It's really, really cool. And though it is mostly screens, it is a dark ride. It is on a track, it goes around. So that is definitely very, very cool. To add to this has 4K screens, and that means the animation used is absolutely beautiful. It looks really, really great. The CGI is fairly convincing, it's still cartoony, but it looks really good. I love that. I think it looks fantastic. And the way the 3D is used, it actually kind of feels like the characters are there. For example, the very beginning of the ride, Spider-Man jumps down onto your car, or it's supposed to seem like that, and the car kind of thuds to really make it seem like he's there. That is really impressive. Few rides blow me away with their technology, but this one definitely did. So that's just a start. The technological aspects are fantastic here. So if you ride dark rides to be impressed by the use of theming and all the different ride systems and such, this one is definitely for you. But now let's talk about something that less people really talk about but should, the story of the ride. So the queue is themed to the Daily Bugle building, which is the newspaper Spider-Man works for, or Peter Parker I should say. And J.J. Jameson, he's sending you to cover a news story because a bunch of villains are stealing the Statue of Liberty. And that's quite cool. There's some big practical sets that look like the Statue of Liberty in different pieces, and I like that a lot. I should also note that practical effects and screens are mixed at times, like there's a truck, but the driver inside is a screen of Stan Lee rather than an animatronic, and the fact that it's Stan Lee is quite fun. So let's really get into the story. So you get on, and there's a spider signal that goes across the big city wall, and Jameson, he's all like, hey, you better not mess this up. I mean, good luck, recruits. And it's pretty funny. And then Spider-Man jumps out, he's like, hey, this is dangerous, be careful. And nice shades, by the way. Which is referring to the 3D glasses. I definitely laughed when I heard that. That was funny. And then after that, you are continuing along. You find some villains. And my personal favorite part of the ride, Electro, a Spider-Man villain, comes out and says, if you think you're leaving here tonight, you're in for a shock, and then electrocutes you. It's corny, but I love that. It's straight out of the comics, this ride. It's very different from a Disney Spider-Man movie like Tom Holland. It's definitely not that kind of Spider-Man. It's just really goofy and fun. There's other villains like Doc Ock, or Dr. Octopus for those who don't know. And then there's Venom, which looks kind of weird. There's this like weird orange hair coming out of Venom, which I'd never seen before, but I'm sure that's in the comics somewhere. Fire and water effects are used to convince you that certain guys are there. And closer to the end of the ride, there's a part where Green Goblin throws this pumpkin bomb at you and Spider-Man catches it with a web. The use of 3D in this part is fantastic. I don't think there's any ride or any piece of media that uses 3D as well as this ride. It's fantastic. And then another favorite part of the ride for me is when it seems like Spider-Man is gonna lose and Green Goblin is in the air and then the car runs into him and he just kind of falls, and that was hilarious. At the very end, there's this very smart way they do a photo as Spider-Man is Peter Parker who takes pictures with the Daily Bugle. When they take your photo, it's him holding a camera, he says say cheese. It's very fun. Just the ride story is very fun and engaging. The one-liners are great. I love all the villains in there. If you like Spider-Man and comics, this is definitely going to be a great ride for you. If you're into the technical aspects, definitely going to be for you. The only kind of thing where I think someone would not like it is if they just don't like rides, or if they're not super into rides that are just supposed to be fun things rather than like be terrifying dark stories or have all practical effects. Because while this is mostly a screen ride, which I tend to resent, this is one of the exceptions, as I think this is the best ride to feature screens as a main component anywhere. It is fantastic. So, some final thoughts for this, because we've talked about all the different aspects. Do I have any complaints about this ride? No, I don't. I tend to be pretty picky about dark rides and always have something to complain about, but not for this one. There is nothing wrong with this one for me. You should probably know, I should tell you this, that I am much more into having a fun time than being fully immersed and impressed by theming. This is the best of both worlds. I had an absolute blast riding this, and it is a top priority when I go to islands. I say this is one of the first rides you should do. Probably go over to the Harry Potter and now Velocicoaster areas first, then head back to Marvel Superhero Island. So I'm going to say, overall, is this the best dark ride I've been on? Yes it is. I don't think any other dark ride actually comes close that I've been on. There are certainly some great ones I've not ridden. Things like Rise of the Resistance. But for what I've been on, I don't think any ride puts the amusement in amusement park the way this one does. This is a legendary dark ride. And nothing else at Universal, except for roller coasters for my personal taste, lives up to it. I understand if you don't like this one. This is just my thoughts. I'm not trying to convince anyone to change their mind if they don't like it. But I will say that if anyone is going to Universal, you must ride this. Even if you don't like it, I think it's an experience you have to try. It's really fun, definitely worth it. And I think it's fun to not watch a POV beforehand because you don't really want the surprises, which kind of sucks because I've been playing some POV footage. But it's just a great ride. Absolutely recommended. And thank you for watching the first Universal Orlando review. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like it if you did, give your thoughts on Spider-Man down below. And subscribe to help support the channel. I will see you next time.